The Wellness Show, episode 128.
Welcome to The Wellness Show, a podcast on health and wealth. I'm your host, Tyson Bannigan, the founder of the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy. Join me as we get the latest insight, tips, and strategies from wellness providers, coaches, and successful, heart-centered entrepreneurs, and much, much more. So welcome to The Wellness Show. And today I'm excited because we're going to be talking about animal communication, one of my favorite topics. And today we're going to talk about it from a slightly different level, and that is soul level animal communication. So it's really has to do with connecting with deceased pets, and it has to do with ancestral clearings. And I can hardly wait to talk to Anita and have her talk more about who she is and how did she get into this anyway. So welcome to the show, Anita.
It's good to be here, Tyson. And I love talking about animal communication. I spent the last 40-some years raising, importing, selling Norwegian Fjord horses, and I always worked intuitively with them, not even really realizing it. And about 4 years ago, I thought, I do this all the time. Why don't I make that into a business? So I had stumbled across a lady called Danielle MacKinnon, and what caught my eye is she worked on the soul level. And by that, I mean, when I connect, I'm a bridge between you and your pet. Whatever animal it is, wild, domestic, it doesn't matter. Whatever animal you want to connect with, all I am is a bridge giving the information they want you to know about. And you can ask questions and get things answered. But the soul level is the lesson they come into your life to teach you. It could be the neighbor's dog barking. It could be your own pet. And that is what really drew me into doing what I do. Is it just went to another level, which really resonated with me. So over the years, I've done so many different things. We imported 20 head of horses from Norway, and most of the time the quarantine was done at our place, but one time it was done down east in a professional quarantine station, and we came home with a bug that was so bad. We had something like 75 head of horses. We were taking temperatures every day, and I would just intuitively know which horses had a higher temperature. And so it was these little things over the years that I finally learned through it was online courses I took with Danielle, how to become more proficient at it, how to I may see a picture that the animal gives me, I may see words. If it's really important, they'll be like a foot high, a big no or a yes or whatever word they want. And it comes in different ways for me. So I was finally starting to understand what some of these messages were. And then when I do the past animals, that is one of the things that has really resonated with me and just feels so right. From the first time I did an animal communication homework, it felt right for me that this is what I wanted to do. And when people have lost an animal, I have found that so often there's some guilt there about things not maybe going right, or the person concerned they didn't do enough. And when the animal connects and gives me the information for that person, it is such an incredible feeling for the animal, for myself, and the human, because he tells why, or she, whatever, tells why things turned out the way they did. And it just, the relief that people feel that they know they did everything was perfect. It was the way it was supposed to be at that time. And that is one of the biggest benefits that I get out of this, is helping people get rid of the guilt, the anxiety they have over this animal passing maybe not the way they felt that they should have done it. And that is priceless.
Yeah, that's very powerful. I know that when the animals pass in my life, that there's always that guilt about, could I have done more, or did I feed them right food, or why wasn't I there when they passed, or, you know, so there's a whole bunch of processing. I'm sure it happens for us on the human level too, but I think that animal aspect allows us, we feel safer to open up to animals, so our heart is more engaged. And because our heart is more engaged, we really do feel those more subtle emotions, and possibly we even allow when somebody that we're close to as a human dies. So it's a really interesting area, because you're really touching a part of a person that they normally don't even talk to other humans about. Their relationship with their animals is so sacred, so deep, that for most of them, it's the only communication they have at that deep heart level that keeps them going. So great work. It's exciting. So can you give us an example, or do you want to do a little reading?
I tend to, once I'm done a reading, I tend to forget it. So just bear with me for a second.
Well, I could ask you just to do a little mini reading if you want. Is that easier for you?
Well, no, I can give an example.
Okay.
People, a common one, you mentioned it yourself, that people feel guilty that they didn't do the right thing. So the animal will say the reason it happened the way it did was because they had to teach, maybe it was the vet technician a lesson. Like maybe the vet didn't do the right procedure when putting the animal to sleep. Maybe there was something a little off. Maybe the person was late getting there, but the animal will say that it happened exactly right because they had not only a lesson for their human, but also for the people involved. Maybe they needed to learn a little more compassion. Maybe they needed to stop and think that this isn't routine. They need to get back into their heart. And that's an occurrence that has happened a couple times in my readings.
Well, that's really interesting. So really what you're saying is we treat animals as pets, and we treat them as we're the one in control, or however you want to describe that, or we're the dominant one. But in actual fact, what you're saying, if I'm understanding correctly, is the pets are really here as teachers. They're here to teach us certain things.
Yes, and sometimes it may take a while for the person to get that. So the animal will keep doing things. Maybe it's going to the bathroom in the house. What is that person thinking or doing at the time that animal does that? Maybe it's something the animal is trying to get them to pay attention to. But another whole different area is lost pets. And we met at the wellness show, and there was a lady come in that had just got a new cat from a rescue, and she knew it was in the house and she couldn't find it. And when we connected, the cat showed me where she was, and the lady came back the next day and said it was exactly where the cat had showed me it was. So there, not only is there when they pass over, but there's when they're lost too, that you can use somebody to help. And I just ask the animal, what do you see where you are? Where are you at? And they will show me. And when I tell the person, they usually know exactly where they're at. So that's another whole interesting aspect that I enjoy.
Well, that is fascinating. And so, I mean, one of the great mysteries with animals and cats is, how do they ever find their way home? I mean, some of them get lost on the side of a road and travel thousands of miles to get home. I mean, to me, that's amazing that they can do that. It's, you know, beyond the human, our human knowledge to even grasp how that's possible.
Yeah, when they have a connection to you, they are going to find a way to get back. They know. They got their lessons they have to teach you, and they're going to find a way to get home, and that's part of the lesson right there, is them finding their way home.
Yeah, it's amazing. So do you have any inkling on how that happens, or it's just pure magic?
Magic is in daily life. Magic is in everything. I love miracles, miracles and magic, whatever you want to call it. But they know, they have a connection to you. I think it's like a compass. They know where you are, and they just head there. And they may not be a straight line, but they eventually get where they're going to get.
Yeah, I think it's probably like the GPS on your telephone, on your cell phone. You know, they just know how to track it. And that's a great way to describe it. Makes perfect sense that they do. There's a vibrational frequency that they can track. Each one of us has our own frequency, and they'll just find you, which is pretty incredible.
It is.
So,
animals are truly amazing.
Yeah, far more amazing than we give them credit for, I think, or the average person does. So, but I do know that how special it is for animals to open people's hearts, you know, especially when you see them being used as in senior citizens' homes, and you see the reaction between the animal and the senior citizens and how much joy that brings them. So, you know, it's really, our relationship with pets is really sacred and something we really need to honor and cherish.
There is a heart-to-heart connection with animals that people, they could have dementia or whatever, but when they see an animal, they remember that. There's something about the heart-to-heart connection. And people, that is a special group of people who train their animals to go in and work with children or seniors in whatever way, autistic children. Like there's animals help us in so many ways. And that was a reading I did for one lady. Her cat was leaving, and she called me, and she had an appointment with the vet, and the cat told her she was to change her job and go work with children who were having problems. And the cat, and that was one of my first clients 3 years ago, and the cat's still going strong, and she changed her job. Like, animals will tell us, if we're willing to listen, animals will tell us so many different things, where you should be going, what you should be doing. Like, they're amazing how they connect with people.
So do you do those sorts of readings with people? Do you, or how do you even let people know that you have that ability, or how do people even begin to understand that that's how what their function of their animal pet is to help guide them on levels that they haven't even conceived of?
Well, usually people contact me because they're having a problem. And
exactly.
In that problem, things come out about the soul contract, the life lesson, their life purpose, whatever you want to call it, because it's different. Every connection is different. Every reading is different. And so people will call about one thing, and it goes into a totally different direction. And I would say 98% of the people accept that. And there's a few that do not want to hear what that animal is trying to tell them. But by far, the majority will listen to what the animal, because the animal will tell them things that makes no sense to me quite often, but to them
right.
is very relevant and to the point that it just goes right past me. All I am is the bridge between them and their animal, and they'll go, oh yes, that is exactly what happened. I know what they're talking about. And this is what's so amazing is, to me, there's no sense or half the time, I should say. And yet to the person, they have so many aha moments. So usually that's when people contact me, is with some kind of an issue of some sort.
Yeah, you brought up something very interesting I want to go back to, and that is the concept, well, not the concept, but the truth of a soul contract. I mean, I understand that humans have a soul contract, and we choose, you know, who we're going to incarnate and who's going to play the role of mother and father and siblings and all of that. But what you're saying is that also we do this with the animals, that the animals and us have a contract before we incarnate about how they're going to show up in our lives and what they're going to teach us. Is that true from your experience?
Yes, and it could be even something so simple as a deer darting across the road in front of you. They've got a message for you if you want to listen to it. It could be a bird chirping in a tree every day when you take your dog for a walk. They're trying to tell you something. But every animal that comes into your life, your space, however you want to put it, does have a message.
So that's why animal totem communication and understanding animals as totems is really valuable as well then. Oh,
very much so. Our animals communicate with us in so many different ways. That's one of my goals, is to help awaken people through their animals. They may not have any spirituality thoughts or anything like that, but if the animal is telling them things they can resonate with, then that opens them up to different things. It changes their paradigm, I guess you could say. People who can be very conservative will have a conversation with their animal and start thinking differently. And that, to me, is the most incredible thing with the animal communication. People just come away with questions answered, and they can't explain how it happened, but they know it happened. So then they're open to other things, like the totem animals. Maybe they'll look at something in their life totally different. Maybe they'll go to a museum or something and see a totem pole or a canoe with an animal on the front and look at it different. Like, who knows where that's going to lead that person on their life path.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. So, I mean, so the totem and understanding why a bird shows up in your life or an animal, and that has a meaning. What you're saying is even beyond that totem expression, or that, you know, this bird means this, that, or this animal means that, is the actual coincidence, which is not a coincidence, but the actual event of meeting that animal in itself has a message in it. And as you say, if you have that sensitivity to it. So do you help people develop that sensitivity, or are you given some thought about how to do that? I mean, I know you're talking about that in the idea of the book, and, you know, and so how do you, it seems to me like you're in the midst of creating a course, are you?
No, but I am in the midst of putting a book together of life lessons my animals, my horses especially, have taught me. And it's funny picking up on that, because I've been procrastinating a little bit, and I feel like you're giving me a nudge. But anyway, I'm not a teacher. I like to support people. I like to give them information. I want to help you in any way I can by letting you know what it is your animal wants to tell you. And the other thing I do with all live animals is I do a body mapping, and I go over the body of the animal and pick out points that are having some problems. And it could be minor, it could be building into something. The other day I was doing a reading, and excuse me, I said there was a dense lump just below the left shoulder blade on myself. So I'm picturing it on the dog, and she says, oh, there is a lump there, but I never thought anything about it. And the animal said, well, pay attention to it. So, oh, excuse me. I'm just getting over a cold. Anyway, that is another one of the benefits I do.
Yeah, that sounds really quite interesting and exciting. So so if I could just go back to that idea that you're not a teacher, you certainly are an animal whisperer, and so that's really where the story is. So I'm going to put you back on the hook again, because I think that being the whisperer and the communicator is really important in helping people do that, even if you're doing messages from the horses. So for example, I have a friend who writes books called One with a Herd, and it's the horses communicating to humans what they want to communicate with. So, I mean, that's certainly who you are, and certainly helping being that whisperer, like how to listen. So, yeah, so I encourage you not to put that as part of your book or part of your course. Or I get that you don't want to teach, but you do want to, I do encourage you to teach how to.
Well,
the how to.
The how to, everybody can do it. They just have to be willing to listen. And like at the wellness clinic, I had many people come up and say, I talk to my animal all the time, and they talk to me. So it's not something that's secret to a few people. Everybody is capable of doing it. And all I am is somebody who can say, go out and do it. Here, I did this. I answered these questions for you. Now listen to what your animal has to say. Stop and think and be conscious of what you're doing. Another common thing in reading is people take their dogs for a walk, and it's just a hurried up trip from point A to point B, do your job, get everything done, and we'll head back home. And the animal has said over and over, stop and smell the flowers. Use this time to de-stress. Change the way you're doing it. So, excuse me. Oh, I haven't hardly coughed.
Yeah. And some fun in the process, and maybe let me off the leash where it's safe, so I can have some fun in the process. But you're right. I mean, I can see certainly in a busy city life that the dog becomes the necessity of going for a walk, but there isn't a hell of a lot of joy in it. So no, I can see that could be really frustrating for the animal. So exciting thing. So when I think about horses and how they are with humans, I think about all the healing that can happen. And I think the animal that I guess I'm the closest to, and I'm never around them, but when I am, it's horses.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about being able to be with Lisbeth and Ryan on a healing table and having a horse choose that it wants to work with you. And realizing very quickly that having a horse snorting in your ear, that they're much bigger than you are, and that your energy is going to match their energy, and they're the ones that are going to guide you to a new state of being. So that was an interesting realization about, that the actual size of the animal and the size of the heart really causes you as a human to change and match your energy to theirs. The other one that I really liked was watching, brain damaged youth work with horses, and how gentle the horses are with them, and how much they are so sensitive to these kids, and how much these kids just get so excited and just glow, and they will try things that they would never ever try if they weren't on the horse. So yeah, the animals are.
Horses are incredible teachers if we're willing to listen. And they use horses with PTSD veterans as well. There's a number of programs. I believe there's one in Rocky Mountain House in Alberta, and there's several of them. But horses are, excuse me, instrumental in healing and helping so many people.
Yeah, so how does that work? Does I've seen where the person is in the ring and the horse decides whether it wants to work with it or not, and it takes a while for the horse and the human to make that connection. Have you experienced any of how they work with PSTD?
No, I don't, but I will tell you a little personal story. We'd be working with some horses, and I'd go in the house, the phone rang, and somebody would buy a horse. And that horse, I'd go back out to the barn, and that horse would know they were sold. One story in particular, there was a lady in New Hampshire, bought a mare we had imported from Norway from us. We hauled it, 4,000 miles from here to New Hampshire from British Columbia. And the lady had a bunch of neighbors there, so there was maybe 10, 12 people. And that horse got off the trailer. I let her off the trailer, and she walked directly over to the lady that bought her and put her head in her arms. And that lady has mental health issues. And that mare helped her with a lot of her problems. So they know exactly. And I've had that happen over and over again where they've been sold. They know. And don't ask me how, but they do.
So selling animals for lots of them is not really as big a problem as we think, because they already know where they're going and they're part of that choice. Am I getting that right?
Well, for me, people said, how could you raise an animal and then just sell it? And I would explain that here they're part of a group of 50, 60 animals, and they go to somebody else and they bond with that person, and they become maybe the only horse on the property or one of 2 or 3, and they get this interaction. And then after taking my animal communication course and finding out about these sold contracts, then I knew that these horses knew what they had to teach, that they did have a contract with the person they bought. And it never, ever bothered me, except twice. I sold horses that I deeply regretted. The one time we were short $5,000 for a mortgage, and I'm going, oh my God, what am I gonna do? And a guy drives in the yard and he says, I got $5,000 cash, and I want the best horse I can get for that price. And I sold a filly I wanted to keep for myself. But then someone said to me, maybe they had to go there to get to where they really had to be. And I realized afterwards that yes, out of hundreds and hundreds of horses we sold, there was 2 I thought I was upset about, but it turned out that they ended up in another home. They went there to do whatever lesson they had to do and then went to the right home. But I used to do an affirmation every night that every horse would find the perfect home. It was a lot longer than that, but basically that's what I did every night and every morning, that every horse I sold would find their perfect home. And it worked out over and over.
That's really exciting. Well, we're unfortunately really near the end of the interview, and I've got lots more to ask you. But so I think the most important thing is, how do people get hold of you?
My website is anitaunrau.com. So it's ANITAUNRAU.com. Or even just Google Anita Unrau, and my name will come up either through the horses or through my animal communication website. And they can also, email is best. info@anitaunrau.com is the best way, is email, because I'm not always around the phone to get it all the time. I'm outside, whatever, traveling, different things. So emails always come through.
Well, it's been a pleasure having you on this show, and I look forward to talking to you again. And my vision is that we're going to do a whole series of around animal communication. We're going to do a teleclinic, and have you on so that people can ask these sorts of questions and go deeper into why the animals showed up in their lives. So thank you once again for being on the show, and blessings with your work.
Thank you very much. And I'm looking forward to working with you again. I think that's a great idea what you're going to do. That would be working one-on-one, and that's always fun.
All right. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Findingtheforest.com, training the trainers.
A webinar series launching April 15th, 2017.
Tyson J. Bannigan,
And Courtney Starhart Hale.
Modern Day Shamans.
Training the tribe.
Join the evolution.
If you are looking for a tribe of light workers who are helping each other to deliver their awesome message to the world, then join us.
At findingtheforest.com.
Interview on The Wellness Show to learn more about who we are. Courtney Starhart Hale.
Author, artist, shaman, activist, and clan mother. Tyson J. Bannigan.
The energy detective, artist, author, shaman, environmentalist, and mentor.
Bridging ancient and modern.
The evolution is here and now.
Is this for you?
If you're a change agent, an empath, light worker, visionary, or a heart-centered person,
Imagine working with a group of like-minded people whose goal is to make millions to reach millions and create a new planetary system that benefits all of life.
are you in?
Go to findingtheforest.com,
Our special program,
an ongoing series for trainers to discover their unique gifts.
helping others manifest their gifts into the world.
Join a community of like-minded people to shift the world together.
What you get.
Get rid of inner conflict and doubt.
Map a beautiful path for your life with the sacred science of spirit.
Use your gifts to turbo boost your abilities.
Learn to drive your mental vehicle.
Receive reliable GPS directions to your destiny.
Join now and get a free book
Urban Shaman 1, Love.
at www.findingtheforest.com.
Launching April 15th, 2017.
A training for trainers.
Webinar series.
See you there.
For quality online wellness products, courses, and services, visit our sponsors, thewellnessstore.ca and the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy located at thewellnessacademy.ca. To stay in touch, visit us at thewellnessshow.ca. And until next time, be healthy, wealthy, and wise.